What is up, Retro Maniacs? Welcome to the Retro Card Chat Podcast. My name's Mike. I'm from Mike's Retro Trading Cards. And I'm joined by two men that have never called me unprofessional for them not showing up to do the podcast. They are Joe Day and EP Eric Bahalik. How you doing, guys?
I'm doing well. Hold on. Let me just check my audio here. Okay, we're good. We are good now.
As we can see, Joe is on location and his internet spotty, we'll call it, maybe?
Spotty at best.
It is.
And this podcast is sponsored by Turkey Hill Brewing, not Turkey Hill Wi-Fi. I'll tell you that right now. Hold on a second. Let me just get it real close here to my where the mic is. There we go.
It worked.
Cheers, boys. EP, you have something to drink?
I do. It's just Coke Zero right now because I have to drive here in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think the Joe's Internet is going to be a little bit of its own kind of game, like a little drinking game for the viewers. So it's gonna be fun.
When I freeze, everyone take a shot.
And if you're listening on the audio podcast, that's why it sounds so bad. Joe has a really bad internet connection, and he thought it'd be a great idea to leave his good microphone at home because it was too much work to get it out of the mount, even though he spent half hour trying to get his audio better there. Anyway,
if the channel would buy me a portable mic,
oh gosh.
Pretty sure you could take that mic with you. Not really that big.
Nope, it's already mounted. Just it's in there. It's in there.
Just super glue it to the table? What are you doing?
Yes, that's how you do it, Mike. Duh.
Then bring the table.
Duh. Bring the table. Just have a table in the back.
Show up to a hotel. Listen, I need to take this up with me. I'm sorry about this.
The sad part is Joe is actually just about 5 minutes away from me here because he's in town for our fantasy football draft, which, pull back the curtain a little bit. I know you guys all think we do this live every Monday morning at 7:00, but we typically record on Sunday, but this week we have our big draft. So we're actually recording on a Saturday late afternoon. We've just went to the card shop. We bought some cards there and went to our favorite restaurant and brewing company, the Rusty Rail.
Unofficial sponsor.
Yes, had a pretty sizable meal there and a couple beers. Yeah, we're doing good.
I took a minute nap when we got back to the hotel here right before the podcast.
We were debating whether doing a nap or the podcast, but we figured we needed to be professional because I don't want to be called unprofessional twice today.
Let us know in the comments if you want us to take a nap on camera while the Three Stooges music plays. Well, we can give it a shot, see what happens.
Yeah, my chair reclines. I can put.
I can sleep anywhere.
Mine does enough. So yeah, definitely.
I do want to mention we did go to the card shop, and I'm not going to show you everything I picked up, but. Tom Savage.
Wow.
Autograph. This was a typo. It says, oops, here it is. It says $3. It's actually $300. He missed the decimal.
Of course, yeah.
It was either $300 or 50 Panini points. So I picked this one up to pair with the one I got from Panini using Panini points. So Dustin, the sports card dad, the first thing he ever mentioned about our podcast was Tom Savage. Here's another one. Number 2 for the collection. Had to pick it up.
Quite the collection we have. He is a channel icon. Yes,
channel icon. Tom Savage.
I don't know. He should be on one of these weeks.
I keep trying to find him. I really try and find him.
What's new and exciting, EP? What'd you buy at the card shop?
Oh, I bought a lot of stuff, like a bunch of $5 and $6 cards. I got a Tiki Barber, middle or leaf preferred rookie card, which I didn't have one of those. Like it's a silver version of it. There's a Jake Plummer there too that I thought about also buying from the same rookie year, but I passed on that one. Got a really cool Barry Sanders card, Skybox Pay Dirt, that it looks super clean. Like there's no chipping on the back at all. The corners are all sharp. I haven't taken it out of the sleeve to check the surface or whatever, but it's definitely something I'm going to look at to possibly get graded. Like it's a really nice shape. I paid like $6, which is
looks like an old school Prism.
Yeah, it's a beautiful card. Don't know where exactly. I'm not sure exactly where it is.
See a lot of cards there.
Yeah, I lost it already, but it's really nice.
Massive pile, it's already lost. Already lost.
Yeah, I bought a handful of cards that were in the $2 to $5 range, like 3.50 cards, but nothing major. I think the total was like $35. But yeah, it was a cool grouping. And I told you before we started, I bought a lot of some new baseball rookie cards, like 1,200 rookie cards. So
1,200 of them. What are you going to do with them?
No idea. No idea. They were the right. They were the right price. So and there are a couple decent rookie cards in there. There's like a Kid Brian Hayes. There's a handful of nice rookie cards in there. There's a lot of other rookies that are just not very nice, actually. So not sure.
You're going to have a quarter box at the next card show. Maybe.
Listen, the quarter box is already halfway full. If anything,
I'm kind of surprised you didn't have a quarter box already, to be fair.
I ran out of time, dude. I had a half a quarter box, but ran out of time.
Quit your job.
You could just wholesale them to me. I don't know why you put yourself through all this. I am a master of going through my cards and getting rid of them. Could just wholesale them to me.
Mike even talked to our buddy Troy. He ran into us at the card shop. Shout out if Troy's watching. And he was trying to get Troy to wholesale to him. So, I mean, he was making connections, baby.
At first, I thought you were saying that to John. I thought you were saying it to the owner of the
card
shop.
I did say it to John, too.
John, too. Okay, all right, all right. I was looking at different boxes. Like, is he talking to John, trying to get John to
A couple of kids came in with their dad. He's asking the kids, hey, do you have any star cards? I'll wholesale them.
From the 90s?
He was like, I don't know the last time I sold a Chipper Jones card. I'm like, hey, if you have any guys like that, I'll take the cards. Sell them to me in bulk.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So that was a fun little trip to the card shop. I bought a box of Select Wrestling, a hobby box. I bought maybe a couple cards out of the boxes you were buying them there from EP, and got a pretty nice little pile myself. So
he had a lot of fun stuff in there, like stuff that we actually bought, obviously, but we had a lot of stuff that we were showing each other, just different players and different designs and that sort of stuff. So it was a really fun trip, I think.
Palmer.
Okay.
EP, that's your guy.
Yeah,
it's not my guy.
Are you sure?
your boy Jesse Palmer. He's a giant.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. All right, let's get into it. So we had to call an emergency podcast this week. EP, you weren't invited. You were, but you were too busy for us. Big timed us again. But yeah, not sure if you guys have heard. I'm pretty sure you have, Joe, since we talked about it a couple days ago a little bit, but the NFL Players Association this week, out of nowhere, terminated Panini's license. Not allowed to make cards with, football players on them anymore. So, really throws a little bit of a wrench into Panini's plan. We don't have any confirmation why they've done it yet. That has been widely reported around YouTube that it was because there was a change in management at Panini, but that came from Panini's lawyer, and nobody should be taking Panini's lawyer. He has a vested interest in twisting the dialogue to the story that he wants it to be. So yeah, do a little better job of questioning where your information is coming from. Honestly, in this situation, there's almost nothing that we know. We know that a couple of days later, Panini filed a notice for arbitration, which clearly would mean, I guess, in their contract that there's probably a clause that any differences would go to arbitration, not they can't sue, pretty typical in contracts like that. So there could very well be arbitration coming up, and that means we just really won't know what's going on until pretty much when it's done, unfortunately. But that won't keep us from talking about it, right?
That's what you pay us for.
Yeah, absolutely. That is why you put your quarter in the machine and you clicked on our video. So,
I'm going to defer to EP. Let's defer to EP.
We do want to get your thoughts on this.
A 20-minute video.
Your initial reaction when you heard this news?
Well, before I get to my initial reaction, I want to just focus on the one word you said during the intro there, during the introduction of this topic. You said unwarranted. No. This is 100% warranted. Somebody I'm pretty sure you said unwarranted dropping the NFL, the NFLPA drop, unwarranted dropping or whatever. It was 100% warranted. It was 100%. Somebody looked at the lawsuit.
Panini's lawyer, Panini's response said it was unwarranted. I didn't. I said unexpected or something like
I'm pretty
that.
sure. Let's rewind it and see. And make. I'm pretty sure you said it. But anyhow, it was 100% warranted. They looked at the lawsuit that Panini filed against the lawsuit that Panini filed against Fanatics, and they're like, what are they doing? Like, what are they trying to do? They've had this for this long, and now they're trying to stop us from being able to have our new contract or whatever. Like, just cut them off now. They probably saw the suit and called legal that second and said, start writing this up right now. We are done with Panini. And I really feel like that's probably what happened. Like some higher up, they probably went up the chain a little ways, and some higher up and said, yep, call legal right now. We're done with them, but this is over. And I feel like that probably happened.
I think it happened actually in reverse. I think the lawsuit came out and Michael Rubin called the NFLPA and said, can you get out of the contract maybe? Let's screw these guys. I mean, they haven't been making money for you. Fanatics is going to make money for you, right? You're going to be part owners of this whole thing. And I think it actually went in reverse. I think the lawsuit maybe was the impetus of it and the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. But I think it was actually Rubin getting in touch with the NFLPA, because you can't tell me he does not have the connections. We talk about how he's a big deal and has all these connections everywhere. Would it shock you at all if he picked up the phone and said, we're going to countersue, and then what you'll do is come out and jump out of your contract and then see where the chips fall? That's what I'm thinking happened.
If that's the case, then he's really pushing people around, and that seems like maybe it's a little. I think NFLPA has more power.
Billionaires in this country pushing people around. I'm really shocked by all of this.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of billionaires running the NFLPA though. Like, I feel like I think they're a bigger dog in this case, but maybe that's just me. But
I feel like if Michael Rubin actually had anything to do with it, it would have been the NBA, not the NFL. I just. Like, I feel like he covets that license more. I don't know. Like, everybody just making an assumption and they're throwing Fanatics into this like they did something. You have no proof of that. There's no kind of information that been put out there that we know that. Like, it could very well be something completely different. Like, I know we make fun of Jeff Wilson every now and then, but he brought up the point about they had two different sets of books when they were negotiating with Fanatics. Maybe they weren't giving the Players Association like the right amount of money. Maybe they were using the cookbooks when they were paying them off. Like, I don't know. Like, we don't know. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to know for a while unless the NFLPA, who has been silent on all this until now, like, decides they want to say why, but I guess they really don't. But I said it when we talked, earlier this week, Joe, like, I really feel like the NFL Players Association wouldn't have done this if they didn't feel like they had very strong legal grounds to do it. Again, we don't know the terms of the contract. We don't know what the outs were. We don't know how they could, terminate the contract, but I feel like they're pretty confident that they did it. Whatever reason they did it, that it is a legitimate reason that it will hold up in arbitration.
I also wonder if they had this in their back pocket, knowing all along that this. I mean, seeing everything unfolding the way it was, and they're just like, okay, we're going to do this right now, kind of thing. Like, I want, we obviously don't know what the relationship was between Fanatics and FLPA, but I mean, it seems like there's more to it than just this happening. Like, it seems like there's probably were like some things that had maybe not necessarily happened, but some things that had built up in the past.
Yeah,
and I'm not disparaging Michael Rubin by saying he was the catalyst of this. I mean, we call him a shrewd businessman all the time. Like, that was not an insult to Michael Rubin when I said I wouldn't be surprised if he was behind this. That was he's a guy who's, if he wants something, he's going to do it. Right? Is at any point, if he wants something, has he ever not gotten it? I mean, I think he would go after this. If he really wanted to go after it, he'd go after it.
I could totally see him calling.
And the difference, by the way, I'm sorry, but the difference between the NFL, why wouldn't he go after the NBA first? Or why wouldn't he have the NBA do it first? Because Panini's not currently printing out NBA cards on Fanatics printers, right? They're printing out NFL cards that they want to send out on Fanatics printers. Would you not? Yep. Would you put it past Michael Rubin saying, oh, they just printed off all these cards. Let's see if we can make a way for them not to send them out.
The NBA is about to
I think
start
they're
up though.
yeah.
So.
I think they're then like it's pretty much a yearly cycle. I think now with cards, like
I
there
mean,
are certain times when
Panini
the other ones come
Flawless
out, but-
Football is coming out in the next couple of weeks. That's a pretty big one.
Is
To
it
stop from
though?
coming out.
Like yeah, I mean oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh,
To stop it from coming out, that would be a pretty big
Yeah.
one to stop from
Yeah.
coming out.
I don't know if they're printed there or not, though. Aren't they one of the ones that's like hand
Is it?
packed? So I have no idea what's printed where. Yeah, I mean,
I would like
maybe,
to reiterate
maybe
again.
he does.
No.
Go ahead, reiterate for us.
I was just going to reiterate that Fanatics owns the entire printing company, and they allow Panini to use half of it. They could say you get none of it. They could say you get one press. They allow them to use half.
I would push back and say, well, they
flabbergasted
I would push back and say, well, they probably have a contract with the original company that they have to let them use a certain amount. But Fanatics has proven they really don't care about contracts and they will just do what they want anyway. So you're right, EP. I'm surprised they let him use half of them either, because what's a contract to Ruben? It's a piece of paper you can rip in half, right?
I mean, is
thoughts.
that any different than Panini with their redemptions? Like
No.
this has been a big talk
too. You're making it sound like I'm thinking Panini's the good guy here. They're all terrible. There's no one to root for. Everyone here is terrible. They're the worst. I mean, it's Tiger King.
I don't know. I'm not sure I agree with that. But
Stand up.
I mean,
what shirt are you wearing, Mike? Okay.
Just a coincidence. Yeah.
Super coincidental.
Just came in the mail earlier this week. I don't know how it got here, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, I everybody is assuming that Fanatics has something to do with it. I'm just not going to make that assumption at this time until we have some kind of evidence. I feel like Panini. Well, come on. Have we not complained about Panini enough? Would there not potentially be a list of reasons why the NFLPA may have done this that doesn't involve Fanatics whatsoever? So, I'm just going to go with Panini is awful. And I don't feel sorry for them that they did whatever they did to make the NFLPA say, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm out. I'm going home. So.
And what I said too, when we met, previously about this is I did say I wouldn't be shocked if this was just a way to then get Panini, if Fanatics had anything to do with it, which I'm sure they don't, their hands are completely clean. But if they did have anything to do with it, this is kind of like that. Now Panini has a chance. Panini has a chance to say, okay, let's make a deal. Let's figure this out, because Fanatics, I'm sorry, the leagues and the Players Association, independent of Fanatics, could also say, we don't want to deal with Panini anymore. So this might be a good opportunity for Panini to come back to the table and say, Fanatics, these leagues and the Players Associations are independently leaving us. Maybe we could sell the licenses to you early. Might not be a bad call for Panini.
So passive aggressive.
No, that wasn't passive anything. That was just aggressive.
To your original point, Joe, I could totally see like Ruben calling somebody at the NFLPA and said, "Hey, have you guys seen this lawsuit?" Just making sure that they're aware of what the contents of it. I could see that happening. Not necessarily calling them and saying, "You're going to do what I say," kind of thing. But I could totally see him or somebody from Fanatics calling and saying, "Hey,
I don't think it was a strong arm. If he did reach out to him, I don't think it was a strong arm thing. I was thinking it was more of a, hey, your deal with us is way better. Why don't you try and get with us early?"
Well, I feel like
I would expect Ruben did it. It did it. If anything was actually said to the Players Association.
I mean, doesn't this whole situation, this whole litigation, doesn't that put the upcoming contracts that they have in jeopardy? Like, isn't there like there's a question like of everything. So I mean, yeah, it's very, there's a lot of moving parts, and I really find it interesting. But I mean, yeah, that's one of the crazy things is like this whole thing that they've set up for 2026, and for baseball, football, basketball. Like, does this put the basketball licensing? Like, do you think the NBA?
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to pose to you guys. Do you think there's potential for it to continue with the NBA?
I think there's
I mentioned on.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think I mentioned when we talked this week, Mike, that Ruben has a better relationship with the NBA than he does the NFL right? And you mentioned it earlier on the pod just now. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm like you. I'm kind of surprised if one was going to go to Fanatics early. I thought it would be the NBA. So it wouldn't surprise me if the NBA sees this, the NBA Players Association sees this, and then says, oh, is that a possibility? Now, they probably have two different contracts, right? You would think there'd be some nuance to both the NFLPA and the NBA
Yeah, I'm sure.
contracts. So maybe whatever, and I wouldn't be surprised if the NBA Players Association called the NFL Players Association and said, how did you get out of this? Maybe we will do something like that too. So there might have been some discussion there. So, but would it shock me? I said it wouldn't shock me if by Friday it happened, or next week. Like, it wouldn't shock me if the PA is definitely over, and then maybe the league see how that goes and say, well, if you can't make cards of our players, then why are we with you, kind of thing.
Yeah, the league, like, I would be shocked if the league doesn't follow, because what value does Panini give to the league? Like, they're not going to have royalty payments for anything because they're not going to be producing products. So if they're not producing product, I would imagine that would probably trigger a clause that they could have the license pulled and it would just go to Fanatics as well. I would assume.
Paul Lesko was interviewed on Sports Card Nation. John Newman, did a really, really fun podcast. And but this was after it was recorded before the NFLPA dropped Panini, so we didn't get to hear that exactly. But he did say that, like, that the PA and the league, like, they don't actually always get along. Like, they don't always see eye to eye, don't, like, follow each other.
Oh yeah,
necessarily. They actually kind of at loggerheads with each other sometimes.
See the 2011 NFL season that we almost didn't have, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, it makes total sense though that if Panini can't print anything with anything other than just a team logo on it, like, I mean, they're not going to print that
mascot card,
right?
or up to 6 players. Up to 6 players.
Only 5 players.
If they can sign them, right?
Yeah. If they have, and they probably do have individual licenses. If Leaf has individual licenses with Herbert and Burrow, you have to assume that.
Well, they said they have 360,
right,
something like that altogether. Now that would be a combination of retired players and current players, but I mean, okay, you release sets with 5 players each. I don't know, like, that would really be the only thing they could do, right?
5 players, and then Peyton Manning, Montana, Favre, Marino, those guys. Lawrence Taylor is in a bunch of their sets. So, I mean, you could, but the problem is people only really give a shit about the rookies, the young players, not even the young players, the rookies. That's
Nobody's going to buy that. Yeah.
No one's going to buy that product. And the whole problem with that too is, what's the lag time on that, right? Like, if they came out and said, okay, the arbiter says you can't do any of this stuff. You have to stop selling. Like, Luminance shouldn't have gone out, kind of thing. You have to stop selling. How long would it take the Panini to then actually make a whole new sets with only 5 current players, some prospects, maybe some still in college prospects, and the retired players? Like, how long would that actual process take from soup to nuts for them to actually get flawless retired players set? How long would that actually take to produce? Would it even make sense?
Since they don't have it already
in the
planned,
hopper. Right.
It would probably take forever. Yeah.
Well, that's that's one of the crazy things that I think about this whole thing is that, like, Panini, I don't know if they do. One of the things Paul Lesko said was these cases, again, this was before the NFLPA dropped and all that sort of, like, he said that these cases are going to cost both of these companies so much money. Like, these that could be in court and everything. Like, it's going to be just a money sink for both of the companies. And you wonder, like, you think to myself, like, Panini, like, they could have still printed money on their printer on cardboard until 2026, but they just because of the lawsuit and because of everything that has transpired, they potentially lost all that money. Like, that potentially lost, like, all of it.
Well,
that's a lot of money. Yeah,
for sure. If we believe that it was the lawsuit and it wasn't something the NFLPA was thinking about doing regardless, we honestly don't know. Like, we don't know if this was in the hopper and they were thinking about doing it regardless, and the lawsuit was the thing that pushed them, or maybe they were going to put it out without the lawsuit. I mean, joking aside about Ruben influencing anything, the deal with Fanatics is better for the players, right? So, I mean, Maybe they just said, screw it. The deal is better, regardless of who's suing who. We have to watch out for us and our players. So let's try and get this out of this deal. We crunch the numbers. This is way better for us. Let's go over there. I mean, that wouldn't shock me either. I don't know for sure if it was a lawsuit, but it was really, sticking a needle in a lion, if you think about it. If that was the case, where Panini pissed them off the lawsuit and they said, okay, we're gonna go and do something else. We're gonna go with Fanatics early. I don't know.
It will definitely be interesting to, hear what the details end up being. But bottom line, do you think we're going to get any kind of football cards this year other than what is already trickling out now?
I don't think anything anyone wants this year. I could see maybe next year. Because if the problem is, if the NFL kind of drags their feet and waits to see what other entities do or whatever, the same problem that I had potentially with Panini making a Legends or whatever product, the lead time of that, it would take Fanatics just as long to make a Topps Chrome football with all the logos and all the players in their uniforms too. So would we have the full experience even if the NFL came out tomorrow and said, we're with Fanatics too, we're leaving this contract? What's the lead time on getting Bryce Young rookie cards in his Carolina Panthers uniform? How long would that take?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I work, because I know I work for a newspaper. We also publish a magazine. We publish multiple magazines a year. We just published our football preview magazine. And this is obviously, it's way more intensive getting our stories for that. But you think about all the blurbs on the back of that need to be written, the stats need to be gathered and all that sort of stuff. And then the photos that you need to pay for the license for the photos and all that sort of stuff. So the amount of time is going to be significant to go from zero to that, unless they've already been working on it, expecting something like this to happen, which is also a possibility. But I mean, so
if a set of Topps Chrome football comes out in full uniforms, I need apologies by both of you saying that Ruben had nothing to do with this behind the scenes, because if that's the case, if we get Topps Chrome football in a month, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yeah, he may have known and pushed this.
He may have known. That doesn't mean he pushed it. They're two different things. If he had a connection that said,
Show your shirt again. Show you your shirt again.
You guys might want to be planning some stuff. I mean, that's not inconceivable. There's a pretty big difference between him knowing somebody who might know what they're planning on doing and him being the impetus for them to do it. They're two completely different things.
If he wasn't the impetus, by the way, I would actually lose respect for him as a businessman. Honestly. Not that matters, my opinion of him as a businessman, but that just feels like a Ruben thing, and I respect it. Is that a bad thing? I respect that he would do that.
No, I mean, I'm not any Panini fan, so I'm not here crying about Panini losing the license. I don't really open
and if
that
we
much
even
newer
had
stuff. So
if we even had to wait for Topps products from this draft class, it's August 26th right now. Flawless still hasn't come out for last year. So if we have to wait for Topps products to come out to next year, it won't be the end of the world, because so many of Panini's products, especially their big ones, don't come out until after the next draft class is drafted. So at that point, I think everyone would be panicking for nothing, because there is about a year before they would have to release 2023 products, right?
Yeah. I mean, they can't do a whole lot worse than Panini has been doing anyway. So I'm ready for a change. I have no sympathy for Panini. And, Sports Card Radio made a really good point too. They just suddenly lost half their revenue. For everybody out there thinking, well, Panini's loaded and stuff, they give a lot of that money does go to other places. It doesn't just end up in their pocket. And, they're losing half of their revenue by losing the football. And now they have multiple lawsuits that are going to cost a lot of money. I don't even know why they're bothering. There's a end of the road. So why are you fighting this? You lost. They clearly lost. There's no way they're going to win. They might be able to keep printing some cards for a couple of years. That is like their best case scenario. There's not going to be a court. I've said this all along. There's not going to be a court in America that's going to tell anybody what they can do with their intellectual property. Oh, well, no, you can't send it to them. You have to let this company keep doing it. I would be shocked if they win their antitrust lawsuit in any way that allowed them to keep the license. Like, a court isn't going to force that to happen. So there's an end of the road. Why not? Like, why are you spending all this money? You're losing half your revenue. You're going to be spending all this money in court costs for what? Like, for what? Just work on a deal, go back to the table, suck it up, tuck your tail between your legs, and you lost. No, you lost. Okay, we will give you the licenses early. We'll give up the case for the NFL. We'll let you have the NBA. This is the number.
Well, not have though. I mean, if I was Panini, I would still try and get at least what they're paying per year for the upcoming deals, right? Like, so they at least make some money off of them, and they would for the next, if you give,
well, that's what I'm saying. They would sell the rights for them. They would negotiate a dollar amount to have them give up the license early. That's what they were initially trying to do.
Exactly.
Go back to that. Stop giving them fake books. Give them the real stuff. Like, take care of it before. Like, there's going to be nothing left of Panini at some point. They're going to be totally gone. I'd be shocked that if they're around in 5 years making cards in the United States. I know they could do this, they could do that. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to go back to Europe. They're going to make the soccer cards that they sell around the world and make money doing that. They make quite a bit of money doing that. So, like, I just don't, like, you might want to marry the supermodel actress, but she's already married and you look like we do, so you don't have a chance. Like, it's out of your league. Just go, tuck your tail, get the money you can get for it, and go back to Europe and be done.
I feel like EP, I think that was a direct shot at you, because Mike and I are in committed relationships, so you're the only one looking for that supermodel, I'd like to say. So I think that was a direct one at you.
I feel like we're missing out on the potential for the potential greatest thing that could happen. Like, this has never happened, but just imagine 24, 25, and 26, both companies, both print football and basketball. Could you imagine? It'd be like the 90s again. There'd be competition.
More than one company? Come on.
Could you imagine? Oh my God, that would be so. I mean, how amazing would that be? Actually, to have both companies pushing each other again, like we had back in the 90s.
Because Panini has an end of the road. It doesn't matter to them. What are they going to try to do? Like, this is my point with redemption cards. If you have any outstanding redemption cards for football, dude, do whatever you can with those. Take whatever they'll give you for them. They're already, I've been like, nobody ever talks about, they're fighting in court to make sure that redemptions aren't a legal contract. They don't want to have to fill your redemptions. Now they lose a license. They're not filling anything. Like,
the people who had redemption should have gone to the National, is what they should have done. I don't know why people still have redemptions in their hand to redeem anyway. I mean, there are some in the products that just came out, like National Treasures Football, Chris Olave as a redemption. But like, if you had them and you're still holding out hope, that's
you're never.
That's kind of on you. You really should have made an effort to get those to the National.
They still have to pay anybody who gives them signatures money. They already made the money from the product they sold. Why are they going to add an expense to it now? They're not. They are going to make zero effort to collect signatures from any football player from this point forward.
But it says right on the redemption, you're entitled to a card of the autograph of this person, and it says it right on the card. What is a contract?
And for
I paid money for this thing, and now I got this thing that says I'm entitled to it.
Don't have to.
In about 19 and a half years, if you have any Fanatics redemptions, get rid of them. When you watch this in the future,
whatever the new Panini is,
whatever the new Panini is, when they come in, Get rid of those Fanatics redemptions. Oh,
might be when Mike's
Upper
retro
Deck's
trading cards takes over the
yeah.
licenses.
Oh,
from
yeah.
Fanatics,
We got those. 19 and a half years. We got them.
Yeah. Oh, what a mess.
That's a good way to put it. That's perfect.
It really is a mess.
I mean, it was never like this, or at least we weren't exposed to it back in the 90s when cards were being made by multitude of companies. There was never like this thing where Rob was even seeing it on like real life news type things, not just our little hobby bubble. Like he was seeing it on the internet about, suing and contracts and stuff like that about card companies. It's just crazy.
I feel like there were definitely lawsuits over things, and I think even Paul Lesko even said that they used to have them, but it's nothing like a Fanatics lawsuit versus like a Panini, which again is like an overseas company that has, I mean, it feels like it's because they're bigger players right now.
Yeah, this is affecting the entire like card market. Like we've never seen anything like that. I've seen card companies go out of business or get bought up by another company, but like there's never been the turmoil like there is right now. Was there ever a point in time where you said, is anybody even going to legally be allowed to make cards?
Yeah.
Right.
No,
like,
never.
Here we are. Like we're in that space right now. And it's really mind-blowing as a collector. Like thankfully I don't rip modern football very often, but a lot of people do.
Because Topps Chrome and Topps Finest haven't been made. Mike.
Yeah, I
Topps
will.
Chrome and Topps Finest.
I will.
We're going to rip them. So we kind of answered this question when we were on Dustin's live stream on Thursday. If, by the way, to our viewers, if you have not watched that live stream, go to Dustin's channel, the Sports Card Dad, watch it. It's just me and Mike. EP, big time didn't.
I have to work.
But go back and watch
appearance
that. Right?
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did want some whack. But go back and watch that. But we might have talked about it after the actual stream, and I think I know our answers, but I'm curious about EP's answers. If they made a Topps Chrome football or Topps Finest football in 2023, right? 2023 product, but with no logos, would you buy it? Because you're notoriously anti-logo.
What's the price? If the price is
you said $50 a box.
$150 a box.
$150 a box.
I'd probably buy a box of Finest and a box of Chrome. I wouldn't buy a case of them, but I would probably box of each just because the novelty of them, that they've been gone for so long. And you guys know I love the Finest, but I would obviously prefer if it had logos on it, I might go up to like $250 a box kind of thing. But if it comes in like $500 a box, like Prism, like I kind of would like to buy some Prism, but it is so overpriced.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's to me, that's really the price thing is the real problem right now.
Well, you said Topps Chrome football was going to be $50 a box.
I never
after you said Thor
maybe
Love
a blaster
was the greatest movie ever made,
but probably more like 60. So yeah.
Oh shit.
So, but I made this point the other night too. Like, people show the cards of Joe Montana's rookie. They show Walter Payton's rookie back when Topps didn't have the NFL license. They only had the Players Association. And, people make the posts all the time on Twitter. Look, they don't have the NFL license, but you don't care. You still buy this card. And people are always like, well, that's because you didn't have the choice. Well, here we are again. You don't have a choice. I guarantee you the people who collect football, if the only product that came out for this year was no NFL logos, but all the players, they're going to buy it.
Yeah.
They will buy it. They can complain about it. They will complain about it. I mean, everybody complains about everything, but at the end of the day, they're going to buy it because it's their only option. And I feel like that if that ends up being what happens, I know I'll buy Topps Chrome. Joe's going to buy Topps Chrome. You'll buy more than a box. Who are you kidding? It's your only option.
Spend some of that Drew Jones money.
Yeah, money you have.
It's crazy because last year, no offense to Kenny Pickett, but I mean, compare last year's rookie class to this year's rookie class.
Shots fired.
Where you have a couple quarterbacks that are potential, and you got Bijan Robinson. Like I feel like this class is a much more desirable, like a class that could kind of drive.
Sure. I've said that myself. And
I mean, so. Pickett. that to happen.
But
this year
John
compared to
Robinson
2011.
could have a career like LaDainian Tomlinson, and his cards would be
Collect
worthless. So that doesn't
Yeah.
really matter.
But that doesn't mean people won't want to collect him, though. You know, I mean, as far as what it's worth.
Bajan
I mean,
Robinson will be
still,
one of
I
those
mean,
guys where breakers will open up product and go, boom, Bajan Robinson out of 10. And then it'll be worth like $100 out of a $1,500 box of cards. You know, Mike, if
Yeah,
I was a
that's how it
transition
happens.
king like you, I would say someone who did post that Montana card and say, look, no licenses on this and people love that card is Brian Gray. Is there any Brian Gray news you might want to talk about?
You want to host the show? Like,
That was just the
Are you-
perfect
are you the
transition. just
host now?
sitting- Switch us.
are
Switch
you the
us.
host now?
No, I don't want to have to
Talk
do
about
any
shots
editing.
fired. Talk about a
I
drive-by.
know.
Tell me
Trying,
about
trying to
it.
steal the host the host duties.
Yeah, there you go, Joe.
All right, so news came out today that our friend and not sponsor Brian Gray is leaving Leaf, stepping down as CEO. Isn't that crazy? All right, put me back. I can't be
No,
fake.
keep going.
No,
You're
no, I
digging
can't.
your
You're
grave.
stuck-
You're stuck
You're
there, now, Mr.
halfway
OCD.
down.
You're stuck there, Mr. OCD.
No, it's more. It's more the location. I don't know where to lean now. I feel,
Yes.
I feel
Perfect.
strange here, and I can't be.
Yeah.
I got to be my true self. I can't be a fake host, a hairdo like Mike.
I know. Takes a lot of work to get me to look like this. Yes. Yeah, and some news that just broke over the last couple days. Brian Gray is out as CEO of Leaf. Stepped down. The rumors were swirling all about the interwebs, and he did come out with a statement. I believe that was today, maybe yesterday, today.
I didn't see the statement.
They're all running together, but yeah, it is official, and I don't know. According to Sports Card Radio, they very much alluded to the fact that he's probably going to Fanatics without saying that. They know where he's going. They know what he's doing, but apparently they're not allowed to really say yet. And he's going to be on their show. But yeah, I mean, where else is there to go? There's one game left in town, right? It really doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out if he's going to be part of the card industry. And like, I mean, isn't that just what he's destined to do his whole life? He's going to be part of Fanatics somehow.
I think you're wrong, Mike. I read in the statement that he was going to spend more time with his family. So I think that's what he's doing. I think he's stepping
he's
away
retiring
to spend more time. I think it
from
must
all
be, right?
money that he made from having Leaf. Yeah.
Right. I think that's what it said in the statement.
Okay,
By the way,
fair
isn't it
enough,
hysterical that Sports Card Radio was like, we know where he's going, but we can't say anything because he's going to be a guest and blah, blah, blah. Like 6 months ago, they used to like scream about each other on other people's channels all the time about how terrible Brian Gray was and how terrible Sports Card Radio is for the hobby, and Brian Gray's a scammer. And now he's probably going to break this news that he's going to Fanatics most likely on their channel, which is hysterical to me. Yeah, I mean, where else is he going to go? EP joked earlier, wild card. EP, I'm not going to let you say it again. I'm not going to let you make that joke that he's going to wild card. But
that one would have bombed. We'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Fanatics, and you know is it Colin, the one brother, made the comment. He's like, if you look at some of the people that Fanatics have hired and since kind of gotten rid of, Brian Gray is actually not a bad choice.
He's not
when
the
you look
worst
at,
one.
He's
Yes.
not the worst one. So, I mean, we talked about this a few months ago when the rumor started swirling that Fanatics was going to buy Leaf, not just take Brian Gray. And I said at the time, I'm like, boy, I don't know if that's a great idea because Brian Gray has kind of has some baggage. But then again, compared to what they could have, maybe the baggage isn't as bad. Maybe it's, palatable.
Leaf puts out some cool products like Pop Century, and there's some of their other sports. Some of their sports stuff is really, really cool looking too. So I mean, like, and also we talked about it last week with Leaf buying cards and then putting autos of players on those cards. I'm guessing somebody if I was working somewhere and I saw somebody do that, I'd be like, yeah, we should probably talk to this guy and see if we can bring him in and see if he can help us, do some crazy stuff. I mean, and Fanatics, again, they've been talking about innovating and trying to find innovations. And I don't remember anybody at the level of an owner of a company like Leaf buying stuff putting stickers on it, then trying to resell it. Like that is, I mean, I think Joe, you said it. Like he was playing chess while everybody else was playing checkers.
He knows the angles. He knows the angles.
That's what it was. So like bring you know, I mean, bring somebody like that in and just see what he has to say. If you like it, then bring him on and do some crazy stuff. See what happens.
Not completely sure that is the kind of innovation we really need in the hobby.
No,
I don't know. Call me crazy. I'm old school, but yeah. How about printing on different card stocks using different print technology? You know, Dennis on the live stream we did with Dustin the other night,
like EP.
The EP wasn't there. Like half jokingly said, "What about a card like a patch card, but it has like a little video screen and it shows a video? Like figure out how to like power if it was solar powered. Like, and it's crazy, but like kind of cool, right? Like, there are ideas out there. Like Dustin had brought up the point, like, you know, at this point, what else is there to do? I feel like there's a lot because we've been just rehashing everything. Like nobody has been innovating. Like it won't all work. Look at Pacific in the 90s. We always talk about them, but yeah, like
and even the stuff that didn't work, people still now with nostalgia love 20, 30 years later. Like the stuff that was stupid as all get out back in 1998, 1997 when they did it, people buy that stuff up because people just love the difference of it, the ugliness and the you can't get something like that nowadays aspect of a lot of the stuff that came out then that they threw against the wall and it didn't stick, you know?
And I know it's kind of backward thinking, but the fact that Fanatics will have all of this tied up, they could try some things. Like maybe they'll throw out a product, it'll be different and nobody will buy it and they'll hate it and they'll drop it. But they could try it because they're going to have all the other stuff that will be selling and making money. Like, you know, back in the 90s, they were trying to innovate to get people to come to their product and buy our product instead of their product. Well, we really don't have that anymore. So companies don't have the incentive to innovate, but they do have the ability to like survive if they innovate and fail. So hopefully there are ideas out there as crazy as having like it would be like a physical Top Shots card. Like imagine that if it was really in a card, that would be cool. Totally out there, but it would be expensive. But like I said, would it be any more than flawless? Probably not. Like, yeah. So, and you know, Topps did Transcendent. That's not really cheap either. So there would be people out there who would probably buy that up. Do something. Michael Rubin, call me. We'll talk about this. We'll
show the shirt again, Mike. One more time. Give us the shirt. Give us the shirt. Pop it up. Yeah, I mean, and when Dustin said that about, you know, how is there really anything else to do? It kind of reminded, I've used this analogy before in the show, but it kind of reminded me of Seinfeld where George says, toilet paper has never changed. And Elaine and Jerry are like, double ply. They've got the quilted. They've got this. They've got that. And he goes, well, my point stands, or, you know, going crazy that it's basically the same. I mean, yes, obviously, cards are always going to be cards in some way, shape, or form, but there are different things that people can do. And that Dennis idea was crazy and off the wall, and something
that's why I loved it.
Totally would have done if they were still around. I mean, so the Panini, the best innovation Panini has is when they look back at what the other companies that they bought up did and just make that again. Like US Sports Card just shared something with us, and I think I've sent you pictures of those in the past where it's the old school early 90s Pacific cards, but with some hollow foil on them. Sure, that's not innovative, but being able to pull back some of those things that were wild in the past and putting them in packs that people could actually, you know, our generation, like look at a Panini product and say, I don't hate that. I mean, maybe even doing that would be nice. Like, there's a lot of IP that Topps is going to have or Fanatics is going to have, you know, use it, go back and use some of the stuff that's out there and kind of innovate from that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, cards they're almost all of them are 3x4 pieces of cardboard with a photo of an athlete on them. Right. But that is just that's the palette. And there are so many possibilities like that video idea is off the wall, terrific. Like that's the kind of stuff we need for sure. But like just thinking about something like that makes you wonder, like what these companies have been complacent for so long that they need somebody with that kind of thinking that to
both companies too, not just
right,
Panini,
right
too,
Topps has been printing, they've been like as much as
they made a taco factor, guys. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Yeah, so I mean, like really, there are so many possibilities. Like, give us an all, like we love the molten metal, the metal inserts. Give us a whole set of metal cards. Give us all. I mean, that just crazy stuff like that. That's what we need. Like, I mean, yeah, 100%.
It's really crazy when you look back to the 90s and see all the different print technologies that they use, like action pack cards. You had the Dufex stuff. You had acetate printing. You had
EX cards with the border and the acetate. Yeah,
all that stuff. And like, they don't really do much of that anymore. Like they did it 30 years ago, almost 40 years ago. Like crazy. Like I would imagine getting an action pack card now and getting a 24 karat gold card that was numbered out of 10. Like people would go crazy for that.
Awesome.
Like I don't know. Maybe it's
and Upper Deck really has embraced that with their products a little bit. They haven't really so much innovated, but they've done the thing where they look towards the past and they're putting in, when they used to be able to make basketball cards, all those inserts, there's like, screw it, we'll put them in Marvel cards. People are going to love jambalayas for Marvel cards, so doing stuff like that, I think would really, really maybe not be super innovative, but still something different now. And I think at least that would be better than what it is.
Yeah. And give me a PMG
We're
over
old
Kaboom.
and yelling.
Give me a PMG over Kaboom any day of the week.
For sure.
Kabooms are not innovative anyway.
Give me a metal base football and baseball over a Kaboom. Just base, just the base.
Now, EP is a huge downtown guy, though. He collects all the downtown.
Huge.
So, I have them all. Yep.
Though I will say, in 20 years, people that are like our age in 20 years, they will be looking for Kabooms in downtowns.
Oh yeah,
for sure,
definitely,
for sure.
That'll be their childhood and what they bought. Absolutely, they will have a nostalgia value at some point in time. It's just going to take a little while.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully somebody that we don't have to wait too long to have value. Shohei Ohtani this week came out that he has a torn UCL. Now that's in here somewhere. So like your elbow version.
I don't think.
No, it's not good for a pitcher. He had Tommy John in 2017 or 2018?
2018. I think
so. And now he's injured again.
Same injury, yeah. Yep.
Not great that the hottest player in any sport in the hobby, any sport, is now hurt. I mean, good. Like, what makes him special is he pitches and he hits. What do you think? Prognosticate for me here, EP. You're the baseball expert. What is going to happen with him going forward? Is he going to pitch again? Is he not going to pitch? Is he going to close? Is he just going to hit? Like, what? You tell me.
Well, I mean, if he just concentrates on hitting, like, and he continues to play through this, not end of season, he could lead the league in home runs. Like, he is that good of a hitter, and I think he's near the top as it is right now. I think he's like 45-ish, somewhere around. I don't know the exact numbers, but I believe he's near the top. He could potentially lead the league in home runs, which is still phenomenal. And then you take what pitching you did get out of him. I was thinking about this earlier this week, and I was thinking to myself, imagine if they use him only sparingly pitching wise, but imagine if it comes down to the last game of the season or the last game of a playoff series they need to win, and he comes trotting out onto the mound, and there he is.
That won't happen this year.
He's pitched like, well, no, but I'm picturing like this perfect scenario where the Angels make the playoffs, and the last game all of a sudden. Can you imagine I'm getting chills just thinking about how crazy the stadium would be with everybody just going bananas. Like, I mean, I just
then he goes in and he gives up like 3 bombs.
Well, he could, but I mean, yeah, but I mean, I think he would still use him occasionally. But can you imagine like just the how crazy that would be when he does take the mound? And I mean, I think there's I wonder if maybe he's probably done with a regular rotation. I still think he probably. especially if he says, I'm not playing unless you let me pitch, because that's my thing.
What? When you're describing this, EP, I was thinking of Kenny Powers.
I've still not seen
it. Coming out in Mexico to I Am a Real American. And you have Shohei coming out in the crowd going nuts and stuff. The guy we were on Dustin's live stream with, Dennis, said, what makes him so valuable is it's kind of like the novelty of it. It's he's a great hitter, but there's a lot of great hitters. He said it's the fact that he does both of those things very, very well. And that's a good point. Like when you take the novelty out of someone, do they lose their collectability? Do they have to be more than just good out? In his case, in hitting, once you take the pitching part out of it, I don't know anything about baseball, so sure, I don't know. But because pitchers aren't really collectible, right? Like pitchers are the least collectible players for the most part. EP.
Yeah. Yep.
So the pitching part of it, adding to his hitting was what made him collectible. And now I'm thinking, pour one out for poor Rob Ingalls, who has been buying up Shohei Ohtani cards. Has he come into work? Is he okay?
Yeah.
They put a watch out for him.
He has not sold all of them. Like I asked him the other day, I said, you haven't had a fire sale or anything. Like you still have all your cards. But I even said to him, like, so Shohei's done, right? Like trying to get a rise out of him. He's like, no, I don't think so.
He'll still be like you said, EP. He can still be a great hitter.
He's hitting 300. He actually is a terrific hitter. Like he's probably he might be the best hitter in the game, who also is a top tier pitcher. Maybe not the number one pitcher in baseball, but he's a pretty dominant.
But he's a
DH,
too. Right?
I think he can also play outfield, but he's been playing DH. I think you play him at DH so you're not risking you're hurting your ace pitcher,
furthering the elbow, right?
Right. So I think you don't do that. But you could see him finishing his career as a field player and potentially occasionally pitching. But I still think that I still think that there's not as much novelty, but there's still a lot of novelty there. And I don't know if there are better stories in baseball right now than him, even if he's not pitching. I still think there's gonna be a lot of people who really would.
Here's the collectible question, though. Mm-hmm. If he came out this year and just was a hitter, and he was a great hitter, phenomenal hitter, and didn't have the pitching, would his cards be worth anywhere near what they're worth right now?
No, definitely not. But that's sentiment is gonna linger, and the name and everything. There's gonna be a lot of people, I think, still hanging on to him. I think.
Don't you think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of people have a lot of money wrapped up in him, so they don't want that bubble to deflate?
In the hobby, yes.
Kind of keep him artificially above where he really would be normally, because so many people have so much money tied up in it.
In the hobby, yes, but I'm talking about it like overall. Hang on a second. I'm talking overall in the so Joe froze up. So in the overall in the are you still frozen? Oh, you're not. Okay.
No, I'm sitting here.
We didn't know.
Overall, yep. But yeah, I think overall, I think in as far as the baseball story of it and popularity in baseball, which is also partially drives the hobby. I think continues to hold that. As far as like money in the hobby and stuff, the hobby's I think a different kind of animal, where I think there's a lot of people that are still going to be behind Shohei, just because of his story and what kind of player he has been so far.
I'm only worried about the hobby part of it. I don't really care about the baseball side of it.
All right.
So, that's what we're here to talk about. This is not a baseball podcast. We're a card.
And we talked about this. We talked about this last week, and it's a completely different situation. I know. Don't at me. The Wander Franco thing. You look at the fact that his cards are going to be worthless. People put so much money in these prospects and these young players, like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then one day be an injury. He can still, in his case, he can still hit, so it's not as big of a knock. But geez, you're putting in so much money in him, and the next day you find out that he might not be playing as a pitcher anymore. That's kind of a big deal. That's a lot of people that are really panicking about their investment in Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, I apologize to everybody for our technical glitches this week. Joe what can you do? You got to get a better hotel room from now on. You're expensing
No,
it
this
to the
is
channel.
perfect hotel room.
I'm actually surprised that you didn't go a little better. So maybe pay a little for the like premium Wi-Fi next time. Has no comeback. All right, guys. I think we'll wrap things up there for the week. Pretty good chat considering everything. And I'll see you next week. Take care, guys.
Adios.
See ya, boys.